I were in charge of any of those Harry Potter movies, I would have put the just normal ass Wicked Witch of the West flying around in the background of every single scene, just as an Easter egg, but not make it subtle at all. Just even scenes where they're indoors, just flies by, and every time it's accompanied by
No, what would have been great is if, as the movies came out later and later, well, since as basically the wizarding world modernized, they should have modernized their brooms to look like the brooms we well know and love, which are the square looking ones on the end, and then they have so those would be the brooms.
That's
and that would be better because
genuinely a very good point. I thought where you were gonna go.
No, because they still have the fucking ricketiest brooms that would pick up about. Those would pick up big stuff. They wouldn't really do anything.
Well,
I guess,
also,
but they're also sweeping outside. So
yeah, that style of broom I haven't seen in the modern world. Because all of them are, even if it's a wooden broom, it's not the kind where it's just at the end it looks like a lion's tail or something.
Or a paintbrush.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing. Yeah, they look kind of curls at the end. Yeah, there was a few where it was it kind of flared out at the end like a broom does. But even those you don't see as much. They're still more flat.
Yeah, I know I opened the bit up, but I will make a point of mentioning to the audience I have seen no complete Harry Potter movie front to back. I haven't read the books. I'm not a fan. Mm-hmm. But I thought what you were going to go with was, as they modernized, they moved forward with the brooms, and the punchline was going to be that by the end they're on Roombas. Because I think that would be
good too. Or flying around on vacuums. Witches from the 50s flying around on these giant vacuums.
These big ass fucking beehive haircuts.
I wish
that would be so much genuinely. I would watch the movies if they had any sort of personality like that.
If they had, because the thing is, everything is so dreary and drab. Exactly. Every movie, they're all just in a boring cloak.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like the Star Wars prequels.
Half of them
where
can't die.
Yes.
And then it's or then when they do die, it's half the book is explaining it, or Harry gets sad and can't do anything. It's really stupid.
And that's why
I love them. I actually have watched them and love them, but they're not. It's not necessarily a great story. And seeing J.K. Rowling descend into madness is my new favorite thing.
Yeah.
But
I think you might have seen, but I posted the other day. If I were J.K. Rowling, my bit would be to, at this point, after coming out and saying all these updates about wizards shit themselves and clean it immediately. All of the wizards were some member of the LGBTQ+ community, but none of them were trans because J.K. Rowling hates trans people. Yeah. But I would go the other way now because she's done enough trying to move to the center left. As opposed to the dead center that she likes to stay in. I would go Ron was a hardcore white supremacist. So that everyone who likes pick a character that people like, and then just be no, he was absolutely a pedophile, and just ruin characters for people going.
Well, because the thing is, it wouldn't just ruin the character; it would ruin the actors that played them. People would hate the guy who played Ron Weasley. She could do that. She has the power to destroy a human being's life. Yeah. Well, she did. Now people don't take it so much as seriously.
People kind of
now they brush it off. At the beginning, I think the big thing that started it, way early on. Now she's kind of just vomiting it all out. But the thing she kind of brought out bits and pieces was the first bit was that Dumbledore was gay. Yeah. Because the fact that he was straight or gay did not matter to the story at all.
And people were calling her out for being this is not diverse or good or anything. And she was oh, actually, I'm going to try and claim the virtue of having been a diverse writer after I didn't do it. just by saying I did.
Well, it's like, and then she's like, well, I'm diverse because he was gay, but I didn't draw attention to it. It's like, well, because you didn't think about it until after the fact.
It's blatantly not the actual thing. And then, like, given the opportunity,
it's like she's writing her own fan fiction. It's like, you wrote the movie, books, you could have.
And then when she was presented with the opportunity to actually, like, make something where, because they're going with the prequel stuff now, and, like, these guys fucked all the time. Like, they had a crazy gay sex life, because now it's about young Dumbledore, but we're not going to let that into the movie. They're not going to make any reference to it in the movie. It's like, then, literally, you went and backtracked and claimed that he was gay the whole time. Now you have the opportunity to just have it be, like, mentioned, and you're like, I'm not going to do it, though. Because you, like, even
obviously,
now, like, if she rewrote Harry Potter now, none of this fake diversity she's putting in would actually have made it in. Because she never wanted to do it. Even now that she can, she doesn't want to. And it's just like, I don't get how now that she has genuinely become an entire punchline where the joke is like, J.K. Rowling every year is just going to come out and be like, this character was actually fucking... They were gay, or they were... having a crazy sex life, or they would regularly... The best one was definitely they shit their pants and just make it disappear.
Is that actually a thing that she said? That's a canonical
thing that came out. That was her, like, wizards don't use bathrooms. They just shit and make it... They do a spell to get rid of it, wherever they're standing. There's a whole scene
There's several scenes in several of the movies in which they're in bathrooms.
Well, I'm assuming... Here's my guess. Because these wizard people, they're, like, going to school to learn. So I have to assume they're, like, they don't want to risk people who are, like, bad at that spell. Walking around coated in shit.
Made a new way to get made fun of.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't say shit the gonorrhea? Oh, you can't say it right? Oh, you stupid shit. And then they all start doing spells to make him shit his pants. See, that's the thing I would do. If that were true, I would be the wizard who would make everybody else shit their pants just so that they have to do the spell to clean it all the time.
I would just make
I'd be like the silent spellcaster, just getting them under the table.
Instead of making your shit disappear, put it into that guy's face.
Well, that's probably what it is, because magic is science to some degree. It's just science that we don't know yet. Exactly. So it's matters being brought around. So basically what they're probably doing, if this were a true thing in the world, they would be like sending it to a different universe, or like something. To another part of our universe. Yeah. So there's just like a fucking big ball of wizard shit, like frozen wizard shit floating.
If you were able to, like, transcend your corporeal form into the fifth dimension, it would be like this beautiful astral plane with a mound of wizard shit.
Full of shit.
This used to be a great place, by the way, but they figured out they didn't need to use toilets, and we're trying to figure out what to do. Like how we have got the floating islands of garbage.
Yeah, because it's just gonna be astral planes and floating islands of shit.
But point being, like, this shit, pun not intended, well, it would, like, make any of that interesting. And I liked the Fantastic Beasts movie I saw more than any of the Harry Potter stuff, because there were moments that felt human, you know? Because, like,
it felt like a different movie. The thing, I didn't see that yet, but I've heard a lot of things about it, and it doesn't feel like a movie in the Harry Potter world, exactly. Which is, it makes sense why you liked it, because,
everything is so bland, and that's what I didn't like about, I don't like Lord of the Rings, I don't like fantasy stuff usually, because everyone who does it, for some reason, feels the need to be like, everything's going to be, they're wearing tunics, and they talk like, they're all very formal and stuff.
Yeah. Harry Potter would not be anywhere without Daniel Radcliffe as the actor. Like the books, they would have been whatever. I feel like they would have made people like books, who gives a shit. But the movies wouldn't have gone anywhere without Daniel Radcliffe. Even like the movies aren't great, but he is a good actor even as a child. You know, with not great direction, I imagine.
Well, you know who made the first one. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a fun little deep dive into my favorite territory, which is needless movie trivia stuff,
Yeah.
or as I guess I should call it, fun facts. But this guy who directed the first Harry Potter movie, and I gotta pull it up, and the issue is I'm trying to pull up his Wikipedia, but you get taken to another page because his name, if you don't know, those listening at home, is Christopher Columbus.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. He's a director. I forgot. What else has he done recently?
Here's the fun stuff.
Oh.
His directorial catalog includes Mrs. Doubtfire.
That's what it is. This is Doubtfire.
He started out writing, and he wrote one of my favorite movies of all time, Gremlins. And in addition to that, to tie things all together here, he directed Home Alone and Home Alone 2, which featured Donald Trump. So
it comes full circle, baby.
Yeah, and Donald Trump famously met Daniel Radcliffe, and Daniel Radcliffe told that whole story about how weird that was. But yeah, he started out, he wrote Reckless and Gremlins in '84. That was his start. Then other stuff that he did, I'm looking up. The Home Alone movies, Mrs. Doubtfire, Bicentennial Man. Then he got into doing the Harry Potter movies. He did Christmas with the Cranks.
Bicentennial Man, was that just about a guy who was 200 years old?
Yes.
Or would he be 50? No. Semi-centennial man would be 50. Bicentennial means 2, so he's 200 years old.
Yeah. It's Robin Williams. I don't know anything. But
he did so he liked Robin Williams. Because Mrs. Doubtfire was Robin Williams.
I guess, yeah, he probably liked working with him. Maybe he hated him.
I guess... he just loves giving him these fucking awful roles.
Because I don't think Bicentennial Man was supposed to be good.
No. Mrs. Doubtfire was apparently a huge hit. Everybody loved it. And probably more so in Europe.
Yeah, in Lebanon. What was I going to say? More recently, he made a movie with one of the most esteemed current Hollywood humans of all time. He was behind Pixels, starring Adam Sandler and Kevin James, amongst others.
Oh no.
So,
okay.
Really, if he brought more of that to Harry Potter, I'd probably have been into it. What I like in my movies is product placement and Adam Sandler.
Oh, yeah. You like product placement. Watch the movie. I can't say the movie because the movie is part of the name and it sounds stupid to say the movie, the Emoji Movie.
Oh.
But
I need to, yeah.
The Emoji Movie. We should watch that.
We should watch that for the podcast.
Because that is a giant ad for Dropbox, which shortly after got hacked or something like that. Like a bunch of stuff got fucked with Dropbox.
It's an...
or at least I think so. I don't know. I thought Dropbox servers went down.
No. What I'm shocked by is that the movie has anything to do with Dropbox.
Oh yeah, the entire point of the movie, spoiler alert, is the meh face guy can't make the meh face because he's too emotional, so he's always making different faces.
Because his Dropbox got hacked.
No, well, so he has, so they try to delete him, so he has to go to the Dropbox to save himself in the cloud. I don't super understand. I can't remember exactly. I've seen it, I think, 3 times. It's the only redeeming quality it has in my mind is about the 2 minutes of voice acting from Stephen Wright playing Mez's dad because he is my favorite person. Yeah. You were talking about sending shit somewhere that made me think of his joke. You can cut this out, but I just have to get this out of my head because I keep thinking about it. It made me think of his joke where he's like, I have a light switch in my house. It doesn't really control anything. So, a couple of months ago, I was flicking it up and down, just back and forth, and I received a letter from Germany, and I opened it up and said, "Cut it out."
That is good.
But yeah, so you like product placement that has, and the one product that it probably could have gotten good money for placing was YouTube, and they didn't really do that much with YouTube.
Oh, I was gonna say Apple. I haven't seen it, but I don't know.
No, it's no, it's not Apple. It's an iPhone, but it's not an iPhone.
Oh, so maybe
it's one of those types of things.
Wow,
Yeah.
I'm surprised Apple didn't get behind that amazingly.
I believe so, because I mean, like, well, the thing is, everything is stylized the same, so it's like, I feel like they may be iPhones, but they don't directly show that it is an iPhone.
One thing,
because I think they're jailbreaking it or something. That's part of it too. They're jailbreaking the phone, and they probably didn't want to. Encourage jailbreaking your iPhones.
That makes sense. What was I about to say?
So, but
oh yeah, segueing. You go ahead.
Well, I was also gonna say Just Dance 2, the mobile app, also was a big advertiser in that. There's about a 15-minute scene where they're playing Just Dance.
What the fuck?
It might not be that long, but it's too long. And also Candy Crush. That's the one. That's
not surprising.
Yeah, that one's not as surprising. The Just Dance is a little more random. But anyway, segue.
Speaking of product placement,
I have a motorized Segway. I know most of them are electric, yeah. but I binged on the gas model.
Yeah. As product placement goes, one of the most famous product placement movies is Space Jam, and in the potential sequel that might star LeBron James, we find my segue to LeBron James. So the Lakers, talking about sports here, that segue was seamless, is not going to be making it into the playoffs this year. His reign of terror is over. We'll see.
Oh, that was a thing?
Yeah, he's not going to qualify.
Basketball. Okay.
Yeah. So, on the topic of sports, in the era of LeBron James being, compared to Jordan by people who should stop, and him being pegged as a person to be in Space Jam 2,
mm-hmm.
It does kind of feel validating for me as someone who's constantly been like, this is a stupid thing, to be like, yeah, Jordan,
Yeah, what's this new thing on shitting on Jordan? Like, what's wrong with letting him be one of the best players? Like, these other guys can be good. That's fine.
Yeah.
LeBron James can be good. He can be a fantastic player. But Michael Jordan's better. Just to live with it. It's you can depend on the times or whatever things, but it's like he was good.
Of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
It's always going to be Jordan, because even if you take away the actual playing, which he still beats LeBron in, he's the reason we have the NBA as it is today. He's the reason it's like, because
the Chicago Bulls was synonymous with basketball. Everybody knew the Chicago Bulls.
Michael Jordan was synonymous with basketball.
True. Well, yeah, he was. Yeah, so.
Yeah,
when you heard the Bulls, you thought Michael Jordan
exactly.
in basketball. So yeah,
and
right.
it was people need to just kind of understand. There were superstars, and there was an NBA, and there was Kareem, there was Larry Bird, there was Magic Johnson, bunch of great players and stuff. But today, the NBA is really America's thing. MLB, Major League Baseball, that's America's pastime. Football, the Super Bowl is this big America thing too. But if you had to take a sport and say what is the sport, America's soccer? Truly, young people are more into the NBA. It's the cool sport. It's got all the cool personalities. It is the sport that we really care about. It's quick. An American sport.
It's quick. It's it goes back and forth. Because baseball, it's still popular, but it's starting to die out among younger people.
It's not cool.
It's not cool anymore.
And we were talking about in our After the Fact episode, they're boring ass people. And if you've ever met someone who is really into being a baseball player, at the college level, high school, wants to get into the MLB, whatever, they are born without a personality. And there's a few exceptions, AJ Pierzynski, Bobby Jenks. The 2005 Chicago White Sox, part of the reason they were such a cool team was because they like acted like humans and stuff. But you look at the 2016 Cubs, where it's like their whole point is they're young, cool, attractive guys, and they do like their TV promos, and they're like, watch Cubs on TV tonight.
Yeah.
Like like basketball, you have like Shaq, Charles Barkley, Dennis Rodman, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic, like all these dudes who are just fun, cool people. They're funny. They go on TV and talk, and they're like interesting and fun to listen to. Baseball, you'll have like 10 guys a decade who you would actually want to have a conversation with beyond like, and like I love like Paul Konerko, one of the nicest guys in the world. He, like, post-retirement, I saw an interview with him, like, oh, cool, Paul Konerko, I want to see what he's talking about. And they're like, hey, so what's your retirement been like, Paul? Yeah, been playing a lot of golf. And it's just like, dude.
Where's your personality?
Come on. And it's, baseball just isn't attracting cool people anymore. And, like, there are, and, like, there's plenty of players that are cool, but, like, mostly.
Not even that, it's also... And I think this is how it is with all sports now. I mean, it's been a thing for a while, but there's a higher percentage of it now, which is, for lack of a better term, it seems like people are being bred to be very good at sports from a super young age. So there's a lot more really good players, and they don't have time to build a personality because they're playing sports all the time. They don't go out.
And because of the whole, like, the cookie cutter, like, you have to do this, do like, all that kind of stuff, you don't get as many unique standout players because if everyone is so good, like Mike Trout, that dude is probably... There's a good case to make that he's the best baseball player of all time. But, like, he's just doing everything very well. He's not like Ozzie Smith going out and doing a backflip every time he goes on the field. Like, there's no, like, characters. Cause it's, Yeah.
I kind of going back to Michael Jordan a bit. What it comes to, like, people like to compare the times. Like we're saying, a lot more people are better now. So the bar is higher for what's the good player or what's a better player.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if Michael Jordan were in if he were in his prime, say now, playing against these people, he'd still be just as good. He'd just have to try harder, I think, is what it is.
Like, he'd reevaluate how he plays.
Yeah, he'd have to just play a different way. He'd still be amazing, but he wouldn't be the same amazing that we knew him for in the 90s. So it's like, yes, the bar is raised, but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't have been able to adapt.
No, that's what he was so good at.
Whereas there's plenty of really good players that it's like they were good because of the times, like Babe Ruth. In all seriousness.
Yes.
The only reason he was good is because, like, nobody could play baseball.
You look at baseball.
Who were actually good athletes.
I love baseball. Baseball is my shit. But, like, I really miss sort of the time where every baseball player looked like they were, like, 60 and they were wearing, like, wool sweaters. Because it was just like, these guys aren't athletes. And now we live in a time where everyone has to be
relate
an athlete.
To them, yeah.
But not quite. And that's one thing. If baseball wants to get
relate
its
to
shit
Babe
together,
Ruth. No one else has those hands.
But. No one has any with a whole fucking monstrosity of a man.
Yeah.
But baseball, if it wants to innovate, like...
Which it won't.
It won't. But it's like, oh, we'll try and make, like, pitchers have to pitch more quickly to make things more fast and interesting. They should go full on, you know?
Yeah.
What they should do, in my opinion, to really compete is they are prime to be the first major sport, to let women play. Just shirk gender rules, and it's completely... There was a teenage girl...
There was a movie about it, and it's still not a thing.
Jackie Mitchell, this is a real story, was a teenage girl who struck out Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth. And then they voided her contract.
Yeah.
And it's... They've probably known, people in charge have probably known to some extent that is... If Bartolo Colon can play, any woman in America is capable of playing baseball. They might not necessarily be, and like people like, for like football, whatever, they're like, oh, the musculature, and it's like, gender is a lie anyways. But
Yeah.
this claim of like, you can't, compete because our muscles and stuff are different. It's like, no, anyone can play baseball. There's so much variety in how you play baseball. It's like in basketball. Dennis Rodman would never be able to beat Steph Curry in a three-pointer competition. That's not what he was playing. Baseball, you can be like a person who gets on base and steals because you're fast. You can be a pitcher where you don't have to, if you're in the American League, don't have to like hit at all. Stuff like that. There's really no reason that gender should have much of a say in baseball. People of any gender should be able to play. Like, it's completely possible. And that's not the direction they're going to go.
No.
The direction they're going to go is, we're not okay with steroids, but we effectively need everyone to be a roided up ubermensch who just always hits home runs. And I think, what was it, last World Series, were they saying that they like gave special balls that were more likely to be home runs? I don't know if that ended up getting substantiated. Because I'm fine with that, honestly. Make the balls easier to hit home runs. If that's what you want to do with baseball, make it dumb as shit. I don't care.
It's like they're trying to make it. Well, they want to make it more exciting, but they're doing it in the wrong ways. They're not making the game more competitive. They're making it more fun to watch, which is not necessarily like.
I'm okay with it.
I don't know.
As long as you don't undermine the sport. And I think what they should be focusing on is like trying to create, and it's impossible. Like they can't do anything to reach this end. But figuring out a way where they kind of undermine the you need to be a physical god to win, because that's why you got dudes on steroids.
Well, dude, one of my favorite things is remembering that there's a movie with Denzel Washington about baseball where he throws a baseball at like 94 miles an hour or something like that, and that was supposed to be like the fastest ever. And now every single pitcher throws like 100-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like,
remember when Nolan
if
Ryan
that movie
was
came out
amazing?
now, everybody'd be like, why the fuck are we watching this movie about this scrub?
Yeah.
Like so I just love thinking about that.
You gotta get a load of this guy. He's got something called a curveball. No one's ever done it before.
Oh my god! Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, I agree entirely. What we need is to not make it less competitive, but diversify the way it's competitive. Make it a game where you play up individual personalities. Let players do their thing, because and that is the way it is. But you're right. There is this progress of compare Babe Ruth and his record of home runs, Hank Aaron's record of home runs, and then you have Barry Bonds. And controversy around him aside, it's just today's baseball players are just insane muscle men. And there's some variety, but that's not what makes baseball that fun and interesting. I am more interested in the strategies than in trying to get a home run. And they're like, oh, how do we make it more like home runs? I want to watch a game where it's this guy, not a single home run is hit, but they're doing this crazy base running stuff, and how are they going to fit? Jackie Robinson stealing home plate is a million times more cool than Babe Ruth hitting a home run.
Yeah.
But this
with his bare hand.
This is pretty much all after the fact with one segue.
I don't know, man. We can.
I don't give a shit.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could just cut this up to be an after the fact. We could save it and then cut up part of this into episode 4 later.
This is going to be a fun editing process.
You're the editor.
I think I'm just going to take 2 of these and have 2 separate after the facts in the bag for the sake of content, where we've got a cop one and a baseball one, and then we'll have.
We have a move. We're general sports one, I guess.
Yeah.
Because these are more serious. Yeah.
So moving in.